weighted sentiment, what this does is it will measure the volume of Bitcoin multiplied by the ratio of positive versus negative comments. And when the negative comments are overwhelming and there's not much discussion about Bitcoin compared to normal, that's when you'll see these big dips here. And when there are dips where everyone is negative, even when the price has risen and people are in doubt, usually it'll continue going up until people start getting positive. And what do you know? As soon as people got positive, that's when this April all-time high hit and then fell off the face of the planet until people got negative again. Once they got negative, that was basically an indication that the bottom was near. And the next time we really saw a sustained negative sentiment was all the way from mid-June to late July, where obviously prices were volatile. People were getting impatient, saying, prices aren't bouncing back up the way we thought. And as soon as they started to give up, weighted sentiment started to ease up a little bit. Prices started to go back up, rinse and repeat. And now here we are after a very long stretch of being positive, where a lot of people were getting faked out, assuming, these mini dips here would jump right back up and bounce to a new all-time high. They got fooled. People gradually started to become jaded. This final drop here, or at least final drop for now, has put the sentiment of Bitcoin well into the negative. So generally speaking, this is a better time to buy because you are buying into the fear and panic of others. Warren Buffett, many investors in other sectors have said, you buy when there's blood in the streets, and that is essentially what's going on right now.
Hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. That intro clip was Brian from Santiment. They are an on-chain social and fundamental insights crypto-focused company that have some of the best tools for looking at the market. Aside from blockchain backer, who has been spot on all year long, well, these bull markets, everybody thinks they're just an expert in TA calling the higher highs every other day. I strongly believe in crowd psychology. I think it's much more powerful to understand this market, and behavior analysis reveals much more than a closing candle, just my opinion. But when you look at the on-chain data, and I have been looking at it with Dino and Brian on about every quarterly basis for a few years now. They're going to join me again sometime this week. And, I just got to looking at what they were doing on their website. There is an education and use case section of their website that is really, really good. So if you have a deep passion for this space, I think this is a must-study area. So please look forward to that. And for this particular video, I've got a nice clip from attorney John Deaton talking about the worst case scenario for timing in regards to being an XRP holder. Also an update on the big step forward for NFT builders, or should I say wannabe builders who are on the XRP Ledger. Very exciting. And Gensler, well, he's going to feel the heat turned up for sure. And I also had a thought for Rosie Rios. So come on, let's go. This is a really good clip of attorney John Deaton. He was a guest on the Link To channel that was uploaded today, and you're going to notice there is someone who looks very familiar. This is Mr. B XRP. Of course, if you have been around in the community for any length of time, you'll know that he was one of the community members that went to Swell in Singapore with DAI and Brad Kimes. So it's really fun to see him in this new role and position at Link To. All right, let's get right to it and have a listen to the worst case scenario for XRP holders if we are talking about timing.
Another question, John. What is the realistic worst case scenario for time? How long can this stretch out before we have a resolution? We know that we can have a settlement, at 3 o'clock today, but how long can this be stretched out if it ends up going the distance?
If it goes the distance, the trial would be June.
Okay.
The the trial would be if you get past. You asked worst case scenario, so you asked worst case scenario for timing. Ripple files a summary judgment motion. The SEC files a summary judgment motion, and the judge decides that a jury must decide those facts. That there's a factual determination that needs to be met, and the jury is the fact finder. And so there would be a jury trial, just like there was a Connecticut jury trial. I don't know if you saw it, but there was a Connecticut securities jury trial about 2 months ago, and the jury found against the SEC in the trial and found that it was a digital asset of some sort, that asset was not a security. Mm-hmm. And so if that happens, then of course the SEC could appeal the decisions of the judge, but at that point there'd be a verdict for Ripple. Then you would think that that the exchanges could relist, etc. But that would be summer. I'm thinking the summer, because I don't see a summary judgment actually being argued until April. And if she takes 30 days to decide, that puts us in May. We're actually probably looking at July or August, to be honest with you. So I would say worst case scenario is September for a jury trial, but it's probably August or July.
Thank you.
It's not it's for a jury trial. Now, if the judge could also, that was the worst case scenario on timing. If the judge agrees with Ripple and says that as a matter of law, the SEC did not provide adequate notice to know that XRP was an investment contract, then that could be over in April, right? So I wasn't saying worst case scenario on that stuff. Just if
I just want everybody to have their horizon. It's like there's so many people out here, 65,000 XRP holders that are part of your suit, and all of the Ripple private equity holders. I mean, everyone needs to know, what's the horizon look like? So it sounds like between April and August, we're going to have a resolution.
Woohoo! Well, we have some great news. It was really a treat to hear from Nick Bougalis, because there's been a lot of people waiting so long who are wanting to build their NFT projects on the XRP Ledger. Well, this is now the time to start testing. The XLS-20 based NFT DevNet is now available for anyone who wants to begin testing the proposed native NFT extension on the XRP Ledger. This is just so great. Really big step forward. For the first time, developers can now mint native NFTs on the XRP Ledger. It has an interactive technical tutorial in the documentation on the xrpl.org website that can help you get started. And if you are really just wanting to have a walkthrough, Matt Hamilton is going to do that in about 9 hours from now, and hopefully he'll be able to give some live Q&A at the end too. So tune in to his Twitter feed, and he'll be on a Twitch stream. All right, I'm moving to a new subject, and this one is serious. If you are looking for new subject matter to connect to Congress again, well, the lack of response from Gary Gensler deserves a reason. Get this appointed protector moving. I predict that there's going to be calls for his resignation soon, and it's going to be stacked with facts that he's not doing his job, and he's obstructing the process and justice. Some people call it stonewalling, but Patrick McHenry is still waiting for a response to his letter that he submitted back in October. That is just too long, really serious. It is really not good. And I think John Deaton is thinking the same thing to turn up the heat. He has now, with this tweet that he put out in his goal, that when he started crypto law, it was to help the individual investor. And that's why last year he launched the Connect to Congress website that populates the representatives and senators automatically. It is a way for the retail holder to be heard. Well, look what he did. He on this particular Connect to Congress website, he put in a pre-formatted letter, and it goes like this. The SEC's enforcement actions on cryptocurrencies have involved the appearance of improprieties and conflicts of interest among officials and should be investigated. Attorney John Deaton, who represents over 63,000 digital asset holders, is in ongoing action against the SEC, has compiled evidence that SEC officials have colluded with outside parties to regulate cryptocurrencies in line with their personal financial interest. Here is a link to Deaton's summary of the evidence, and you can see it's got the free pass, fair notice, and fight ahead link. And it goes on to say that the SEC under Gary Gensler has refused to address these troubling questions. It resisted the Freedom of Information Act request and ignored media reports. The stonewalling must end if there can be any faith in the markets and in government oversight. I'm asking that you please write to the Banking Committee to demand an investigation into SEC's enforcement practices on cryptocurrencies and the potential conflicts of interest among those responsible for issuing guidance and taking enforcement actions. So that is the letter that will automatically populate the form right now. And I tell you, we all need to turn up the heat. For those of you who have not been in the United States or had a chance to handle American currency, this is our coin called a quarter, and it is 25 cents. It has the picture of George Washington on the front, and then the back is the American eagle. It is something that used to be pure silver up until 1965, but now there is a copper inner core, and then the outer covering is a nickel mix. That silver quarter can still be found among collectors. It is 0.18084 troy ounce of pure silver. It sells for about $3 to $5 today. But there is something that is coming to the quarter, and I learned by way of Rosie Rios. 20 women will be honored through these quarters and will play a historic role to begin the conversation about our nation's history that perhaps we never had before. It will no longer be his story or her story, but our story. Let the conversation begin. So this is nice to see, but the our story happens just before we're going cashless. I don't know, I guess better late than never. This is though what I was thinking. Maybe we should fractionalize ownership of a limited number of quarters before they're taken out of circulation to generate a perpetual royalty from the ownership transfers, backing global education for children in sectors of finance. This is an example of how the NFT can be used to better our world. Jumping to the fluff, this is the historic Castle Matsumoto. It's also known as the Karasu-jo, or Crow Castle, because of its unique black exterior. It maintains the original wood interior from the 1500s along with the stonework. One of only 12 remaining. It is a favorite in Japan to be photographed. This is a photo from the 7th of January. You can see that the moat is beginning to get icy with its patches, but it was almost destroyed in 1872. The Meiji government ordered all former feudal fortifications to be destroyed, and the people of Matsumoto were just devastated at that thought. Even though it had fallen into disrepair, you can see the top portion of the castle was actually leaning. They did raise the funds to save it, and today it is just one of the treasures, and is on the UNESCO heritage sites. And so you'll find that if you can go to the middle of the country, it is also very special because it sits across from this range known as the Japan Alps. Really super beautiful. And I've talked many times about Japan having this unique and I think wonderful way to embrace its traditional culture, and also in combination with embracing the current modern technology. And here we have some projection mapping that was done, started just in the beginning of this year to celebrate 2022. And it is having these great light shows that provide this reflection off the water that is unbelievably beautiful. You can see some of the photographs on Twitter are just fabulous. And so what I thought I would do is definitely put a link to this particular one of many websites that are showing how they are creating this beautiful, beautiful display of light and color. And it's just so fun to see this combination, like I said, of the old tradition and the modern Japan kind of meld in such this beautiful fashion. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.